David now issues a direct command. Wait on the Lord and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. Psalm 37:34. This verse combines instruction with promise. It calls believers to patient obedience and assures them of God's ultimate victory. The verse begins with a command. Wait on the Lord. The word wait means to look for, to expect, to hope. It conveys the idea of eager expectation, combined with patient endurance. To wait on the Lord means to trust him when circumstances seem contrary to his promises. Waiting requires faith. It demands believers trust God's timing rather than their own understanding. The righteous must refuse to abandon God's ways when those ways seem slow or ineffective. This waiting is active, not passive. It involves obedience and trust. The believer waits while serving and praying. This waiting shows confidence in God's character and his promises. David adds a second command, and keep his way. Waiting is not enough. The believer must also obey. The phrase keep his way means to guard, to observe, to follow God's path. It refers to continued faithfulness to God's commandments and purposes. These two commands work as one. The believer waits on God while walking in obedience. He trusts God's timing while maintaining God's standards. He expects God's deliverance while refusing to compromise God's truth. Many believers fail at this point. They wait, but do not keep God's way. They become passive and inactive, or they keep God's way, but do not wait. They grow impatient and attempt to force outcomes through their own efforts. David calls for both waiting and keeping. This verse offers a promise, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. God will lift the righteous. The word exalt means to raise, to make high, to promote. God will elevate those who wait on him and keep his way. This exaltation includes inheriting the land and receiving the promised blessings. The last phrase declares, when the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. The righteous will witness the destruction of the wicked. Cut off means to be destroyed, to be removed. God will eliminate the wicked from the land. The righteous will not only hear about this judgment, they will see it with their own eyes. This promise assures believers that God's justice will be visible. They will not just trust that God judges, they will observe his judgment. This visible vindication strengthens the believer's trust and confirms God's faithfulness. The story of Moses and Pharaoh shows this truth. God commanded Moses to confront Pharaoh and demand Israel's release. Moses obeyed, but Pharaoh refused. The situation worsened. Pharaoh increased Israel's burdens. The people complained to Moses, but Moses waited on the Lord and kept his way. He continued to obey God's commands despite opposition and apparent failure. God then exalted Moses and delivered Israel. The Lord brought judgment on Egypt through 10 plagues. He destroyed Pharaoh's army in the Red Sea. Moses and all Israel saw the wicked cut off. They witnessed God's power and justice. Moses' patient obedience resulted in exaltation and vindication. He saw God fulfill every promise. This verse teaches believers to combine waiting with obedience. They must trust the Lord's timing while maintaining God's rules. They must expect God's deliverance while refusing to compromise. God promises to exalt those who wait and keep his way.